the European
Thank you
Parliament.
very much, Mr. President. Let me, as always, be blunt. I am relieved this morning because it could be a totally other debate here in the Parliament without the decisions that have been taken at 4 o'clock this morning. I am relieved for in fact one simple reason, that is that finally we start to put in place a global approach to stabilise the euro, and I am relieved because finally, and it has to be repeated, we stop now our hesitating approach of the last 20 months. Because let us also be very blunt about that. This crisis and the reason for this mess has been prolonged and has been worsened by the way this has been handled from the beginning, with contradictions, with hesitations, with half measures. So we can say today, and also we have done our job with the pressure we have put on the Council side and on the Commission side, that this finally comes to an end, this way of handling this crisis. But we have also, dear colleagues, to be realistic about it. It is not a few good days on the markets that means that we have already reached our goal and that the euro is still stable and again strengthened. Our goal is to strengthen the euro, to stabilise the euro on the mid-term, on the long term, not one day, not 1 week. And for that I think two things are crucial now. Two things are crucial in the coming days and the coming weeks. The first is that the new firepower of the rescue fund has to be real firepower. And real firepower, that means in the sense that the markets are convinced by it. And let's be honest, 1 trillion, because that's in English is 1 trillion, it's not 1,000 billion, 1 trillion is an impressive figure, it is big, but there are doubts that on the long term it can be achieved, that firepower, when you offer, for example, a guarantee of 20%, when on the other hand we agree on a haircut for Greece on 50%. How credible is then this firepower? And I have seen, and maybe Mr. Van Rompuy, you can give more indication, that there was no figure mentioned in the conclusion of the Council. There is said in the conclusions of the Council that there is a guarantee or a possibility, that it is one of the options, but I have not seen a figure, a concrete percentage, what this guarantee could be. And it is this guarantee, the percentage of this guarantee, that makes the system credible, sustainable, and makes that the firepower is big, is great, and can be used on the markets. And my second point, dear colleagues, is I think also important. We have to use the next weeks and the next months to lay the foundations for a real economic and fiscal union for the eurozone, because let us be very clear, it is not over. Markets are waiting to see that we, by the end of the year, are establishing a real economic and fiscal union besides and in parallel with the monetary union. And that means in fact two things that we have to do. First of all, I urge you, Mr. Barroso, to come forward as fast as possible. You have announced it before the end of the year, that you put on the table the green paper on euro securities, on the so-called stability bonds. Because at the end, it is only a euro bond market that can end the tensions within the market and that can avoid the repetition of the mess of last year. And the second thing, and the most important thing, is that we need now to establish a real economic government in the eurozone. And again, I have nothing against the idea that we see also in the conclusions of the Council, that you are going to share 2 euro summits every year, and maybe more if it is required and if it is necessary. That happens already. But that is not the economic governance we need. An economic government, dear colleagues, is more than 2 meetings a year. I was 9 years Prime Minister, and we meet it. Thank you. And thank you. That was a long time ago, Danny. And we meet it 2 times a week, and if necessary, 2 times a day, but not 2 times a year. So what we need is another thing, and I think it's in the conclusions. What we need is to use Article 28 of the conclusions of yesterday. And that means I am very pleased that Olli Rehn has been appointed Vice President of the Commission in charge of the euro. What we need now, Mr. Barroso, is also that he can create an inner cabinet in the Commission where he chairs all the portfolios of the commissioners related to the euro, so that you make it sustainable and that markets are seeing that there is a government, an inner cabinet in the Commission dealing with these problems. And secondly, I repeat my proposal, dear colleagues, we have also to make that this Commissioner Vice President is sharing the meeting of the Ministers of Finances of the Euro group. Let's make the system consistent and not make two personalities again who are sharing and who are responsible for that. So my request is to come forward, Mr. Barroso, now with a legislative proposal the fastest as possible, also to match that problem and to have a solution for that problem. And then finally, there is huge criticism. Let's be honest. I had the possibility to hear this morning the debate yesterday in the House of Commons in Britain, in London, where Mr. Cameron said, they have problems there, but it's okay, we are not there. There's no problem for us. And he was criticising at Miliband yesterday in the House of Commons. But let's be honest, he's pleased to be outside, but he wants to be inside to influence all these decisions. And he is criticising it. I think there is a good way to be involved in Euro politics for Great Britain. That's to enter the Eurozone and to make part of the system. Dear colleagues.
Thank you very much.